Alright. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pig. This is Serral. He's the greatest Starcraft player of all time, and he hasn't done a live stream in about 8 months. It's his first one back after winning his 3rd World Championship, and he's going to be playing a player called I Love Mech, a 6k Terran player, in his very first game. Now, I don't know for sure this is the first game on this patch, but I was messaging Serral about a week ago, and I was saying, what are your thoughts on the new patch? How good's Shroud? How good's this? How good's that? Have you tried the new Broodlord? Serral said, I've been a bit sick. I haven't played any games at all on the new patch, so I have no idea. But, you know, I'll get on there sometime soon, and we'll see what happens. And after skimming this stream before I've started recording this video, it looks like Serral hasn't played any games whatsoever, as far as I can tell, on this patch. Maybe not none, but he definitely doesn't look like he's super tight and in form. For instance, he just built 2 drones there, and he's going 17 hatchery. That, my friends, is an accident. That's meant to be a 16 hatchery. So we're already seeing small mistakes. We're going to see if Rusty Serral, first time on the patch, what is his experience figuring out the meta, the abilities, playing against a range of opponents, and we may do some follow-up videos as well. This one's a Zerg versus Terran, but the following ones may be ZVP, maybe different matchups as well. Look at Serral, guys. He's using the in-game music. Now, the problem with that is you can only select SC1 or SC2 soundtrack. Problem is you can't select which soundtrack, and as a Zerg player, it means you're listening to the, sorry guys, I gotta be honest, subpar Zerg soundtrack. It is the weakest soundtrack of all 3 games. The Protoss one is pretty damn epic from Legacy of the Void. Wings of Liberty, though, by far is the best SC2 soundtrack. And let's be real, if you want to listen to SC1 music, the SC1 Terran themes are also frigging fantastic. So, gotta criticize Serral on that one. We have unmuted him, guys. He may talk at the same time as me sometimes. I will often repeat what he says, and we'll adjust the volume this way and that way, as usually when pros stream, their sound's gonna go really high, sometimes really low other times. Sometimes you'll be able to hear it, other times you won't. I also know we have a lot of Americans in the audience who have trouble with Serral's Finnish accent. Let's be real, I have trouble with Serral's Finnish accent, or I used to a little bit. With certain words. So I know some people get really angry. They're like, we can hear what he's saying. Stop repeating what he's saying. And I've actually, in the past, I've surveyed the stream and the YouTube, and I've said, oh, I'm sorry, am I being annoying by repeating what he says? It's just a bit hard to hear. I want to clarify and add context wherever possible. Just make sure you guys are understanding what's happening. And there was at least 50% of the people were like, please keep repeating what he says. I don't know what the heck's coming out of his mouth half the time, especially with the audio levels the way they are. Now, we've got a weird, what appears to be a 2 barracks marine pressure, guys. Maybe 3 barracks? Coming across the map, looking to deny his 3rd base. We imagine there's a command center behind this, but this is already a very weird opening where Serral had to delay his 3rd, make some more queens, pulled back his overlords, use the pillars to hide with some of those overlords, and only now does he start that 3rd base after those marines have fallen back. But if the marines go back over there, his queens may be in trouble. And indeed, Tech 11 reactors being built. There's 6 marines and an SCV out front. His Zerglings have to come forward to save that queen. And it looks like, I think, a good pullback here for Serral. He lets the healthy queen fight. He wants to pull the low hit point queen back. Good micro so far. And this is a very cheeky build order, man. Dude, who is this? If anyone knows who this Terran player is, you guys let me know. This is such a cheeky build order. And his name's I Love Mech, but now he's got a Tech 11 and a reactor on 2 barracks. This is where the 300 IQ move is the Terran builds 2 factories, and rather than making stim and making 3 marines at a time, lifts both of the barracks, 2 factories land there, and bam, you've got a battle mech opening. But no! That's a stim upgrade. We've got marines building. Serral's got a pack of Zerglings out for map control. He's going to put back on gas now between 3.5 and 4 minutes is the standard for that. He's done it a little bit on the later end. Like if it's a very clean game, usually you do it about 3:20 with your first lava inject. So I guess 3:20 to 4 minutes is the actual time period. He's doing it closer to 4 minutes because, of course, he's had to delay his 3rd. He's been distracted, building a few more lings, fighting with his queens. And now he's going to follow up with a single Evo chamber. Now, this has become very popular recently because Carapace is the most important upgrade when you're playing against Bioterran. But not only that, it's also the fact that it's just like really good against any 2 barracks opening in general. It's always been good at that, but you're seeing it where Zergs will just go single Evo as standard, even when they don't know what the Terran's doing. In this case, we know there's a ton of Marines, there's Stim, and if you can get an early Carapace, it makes your Queens and Zerglings much better against these Marines. Now he's trying to figure out...
or something here.
He wants to see if there's an SCV pull. That Zergling's going to hang around and keep checking, just to make sure there's not like a crazy commitment right now. Serral aware of the threat. If there's a third and fourth barracks in the back and just SCVs pull with this, he doesn't have banelings or anything. He could get wiped out. I think his carapace upgrade has started. He's got quite a decent queen count, but no transfuses on them. And he's desperately trying to build zerglings, but he's supply blocked right now as well, which is a little rough. The Marines probably have stim. Oh, shields just kicked in. What? Combat shields just kicked in, which means there's either a third barracks on a separate tech lab, or this maniac went combat shields before stim, which would be wild for this matchup. You can do that sometimes against Protoss, but like, I think he just must have a different barracks on a different tech lab. There's part of it wants to dream. This I Love Mech player is actually crazy enough to have done that. This was the original Bomb Cloud build, by the way. I believe the opening, the 2-Rex Marine pressure into expand. Kind of just mess the early game up and then play a relatively normal game. Where are the Marines? They're still out here, aren't they? That's a big ball of Marines building up. You can see Serral's aware. He's going to need to surround this. His carapace isn't quite ready. I think the Terran's just going to hit a big old head buddy Marine timing. Serral supply blocked yet again here. It's only a small one. He doesn't have a lot of money built up. Here we go. Lings are going to come in from both sides, as are the Queens. Oh, it's a pretty beautiful angle for the Terrans getting in the corner, but the Queens are coming in with a nice arc. There's a lot of Zerglings. The Queens are out of transfuse. He tries to do some injects. He hotkeys his fourth base. He makes an overseer in the midst of the battle because he realizes he's done about as much he could have. Staring at the front, the transfuse, of course, did save that Queen as well. And that's a good hold because he's got 3 mineral lines up. Terran's stuck on 2 base for a while. He massively delayed his own third. And Serral says, okay, let's get a move on. Let's make that second Evo chamber. Let's get up. The layer's done now. We want to go +2 carapace. We want to go, you know, for baneling speed or whatever the style is going to be. Remember, some of the big changes we're looking for in this patch is Mutas. The Spire builds faster. It's 50 minerals and 50 gas cheaper. That cost has been pushed up to the Greater Spire, by the way. We just figured that out today. Not sure if intended or not, but I think that's fair. So that the Greater Spire is a little more expensive. But the Spire itself also builds 5 seconds faster. Other than that, Infestors now have Microbial Shroud, but it's 100 energy to cast, and it's gated behind a long upgrade. So it's kind of this late game addition where I feel like early end game is where Microbial Shroud may be a god tier spell. We haven't really seen anyone doing it. People have been saying to me, no, it's garbage, it's not good, it's really bad. And I've been saying to people, it's not that it's not garbage, you're completely wrong. It's a fantastic spell, but it's gated behind things where it comes in very late in the game. And if we're ever going to see, oh, decent fight for him, gets a Marine. If we're ever going to see anyone figure out how Microbial Shroud works, it's this guy right here, it's Serral. Because Serral is very good at late game, he's very good at getting to late game, and he's very good at optimizing that late game in patient scenarios, right? The only other player I've really seen try to use it is Solar, and unfortunately, I think he got just wrecked by something before he really got a chance to use the Microbial Shroud. But we've seen like Raynor play Heavy Infestor Ultra, never even upgrade it. We've seen other Zergs refuse to do it as well. I even said, when Serral said, oh, I haven't played this patch, and I was asking him, what do you think of Shroud? I said, oh, cool, when you do get on the patch, I'd love to see how well Infestor Ultra Corruptor does against late game Protoss. Because I think Ultras with Shroud will beat Immortals, potentially. If you can trap them or fungal them or get a wrap around, I think Shroud is actually really good against Immortals. I was kind of trying to pressure Serral into testing that. I was like, trying to plant the seed of an idea so he can actually show us and test it if it works or not. Hopefully later on in this stream we'll get to see if he actually does that. If there are any good Protoss games, we'll try to upload those, of course, as well. Probably be uploading these as individual games, depending on what stories come out about these players. And he just started an upgrade. He's making Shroud. All right, Lingbane into Hive and Shroud. Looks like he wants to go Infestor Ultra here. Hey, yo! Oh, this 6k Terran was doing so well for so long, and then he loses all of his Marines not looking. Okay, well, Serral's miles ahead now, guys. He's also got the 4th base blocked, so it can't land right now. I don't know if it's a burrowed Zergling or a hold position Zergling there, but the Terran desperately needs to deal with that. Serral's got his 5th base getting saturated right now. Massive economy, great creep domination, and this does look like we're starting to see him now separate himself from his opponent in terms of that skill level. Nonetheless, great chance for us to see Shroud potentially in action. This is a matchup where, because there's no Storm for Terran, there's only Widow Mines and Ghost Snipe. That is the consistent spell damage. Yamato as well, but you're not really using Yamato very often. Against Protoss, you throw Shroud down, they can just storm in it. You don't really want to sit in the Shroud, right? To a certain extent. But against Terran, Shroud should be pretty damn fantastic just for Lings against Marines, Lingbane, Ultras in general against everything that's not snipes. Some people have said that that upgrade combined with some other changes mean, and just the way the game's gone, is Terrans in late game may be more turtley than ever. Unfortunately, Serral's camera is blocking the bottom right, so we can't actually see the command card of those infestors, but I do believe Microbial Shroud has been upgraded. Apparently this is Replicant is the player, guys, that he's playing against. So a very high-level Terran player, but not quite that world champion, three-time world champion, greatest player of all time quality. I mean, I don't know many Terrans that are on par with Serral. If it's not, and even Maru, he dominates, right? So Clem's usually the only guy that consistently beats Serral. There's a few other guys that can steal maps here, there, and everywhere. And when you're on the ladder and you haven't played much on this patch, you never know. Good split on the army. Now, one thing I'd really like to see is the Infestors split as well. So we can Microbial Shroud and Fungal from two sides. That way it's very hard for Terran to escape. So if you come from two sides, if they run back one way, they're kind of running into the Fungal from the other side. He throws down a Shroud. Widowmine comes in. He says, a bit too awkward to engage around that corner. He's going to try and engage now as the Terran chases him outside. Does he throw another Microbial Shroud? No, he just picks off a few units, goes in, goes out. But the Terran may just turtle up and go for Planetary Ghost now. Sorry, guys, you know I get excited when my leg comes up on the chair, much like Uncle Roger. For him, it's the sign of approval, right? Or the disapproval is when the leg comes off. For me, the leg gets up when I get excited, and I really would love to see this Shroud break some defensive positions. I think that's kind of what it's intended for. Will it actually play out that way is another story, especially when your army's mostly Ling Bane. They got a good spread of Widow Mines, and they're kind of in a defensive spot. It's going to be hard to break through. But if the Terran was silly enough to move on the map, I think the Shroud would look amazing right now. But as is often the case in high-level StarCraft, people, if they don't see the exact interaction, they go, oh, that thing's not good, but there may be a side effect here, which is just the fact that it forces the Terran to be more respectful. He's going for a big Ling attack. Doesn't use his Banelings. Gets the Siege Tank. His Baneling's going to go north. He's looking for the spells, is he? But the Ling's going to run away. Gets a Planetary, gets the tank and a few Widow Mines, and just runs away. The power of a mass Ling Bane army. He's looking for Fungals. He's trying to get the Terran to come out. He's like, please come out here and play with me, mate. Yeah, Widow Mines are spell damage. Completely unaffected by Microbial Shroud, guys. Completely unaffected. He's got some Lings going around the right side for a drop into the main base. 32 Zerglings into the main could be very effective. He's going to morph the remaining ones into Banes to roll into that mineral line, that base. I think there's a tank covering it, so it will be hard for them to connect. Serral's doing a great job here. He's maintaining creep spread. He's threatening the front. Drop comes in the back. Unfortunately, he left one of his overlords behind, guys. There's one overlord that still has 8 Zerglings in the middle top right, I want to say, of the map. The Ling drop gets in, though. It's causing a ruckus. And remember, it's incredibly cheap, Ling drops. They cost so little.
Our forces are under attack. Metamorphosis complete. Our forces.
As a Terran, I can say F off Zerg. I'm not leaving my planetary fortresses. I mean, it's often the right idea in the late game. Hang at those planetaries. Corruptor's coming in now as well. Corruptor's a fantastic addition. Oh, the Widow Mine's getting some okay hits, but nothing game-changing there. And the Corruptor's taking out a few libs will be nice. Serral's got to be careful the Corruptors don't stay too long. Okay. Unburrows some Zerglings in the main, just targeting some buildings there. Queens do get sniped down. Losing a few Queens is not bad. Queens waste a lot of supply in the late game that you don't really want to waste. Oh, good repair! I love Mech there with some very slick repair. That was really well done. Now, if Serral wants to use Banelings on that side, there's actually a wall off that's made his previous Banelings par the round. So what he's got to move those Banelings up with little incremental shift clicks and then click them directly on the depot wall to blow it up if he wants to do that. But this looks more like a Bane drop, right? Okay, yeah. Well, one way is you just drop over the top. Keeps blowing up command centers and just shaving his opponent down. You can see when the Terran's turtling, and now that there's heavy Ghost, Microbial Shroud not really featuring in a big way. It's really good against early tank pushes is what Lambo told me. But it's kind of this narrow window where it's really good against Terran. And then he actually said if you do try to use it to attack positions, often the Infestors get focused down. And obviously once there's mass Ghosts out, it does fall off in effectiveness, the Microbial Shroud. But if there's a big enough pitch battle, it's still worth throwing down. But it's kind of this, like, it's the cherry on top of the pie, right? It's that little bit of bonus is Microbial Shroud where it's really good if the opponent would have just run out in the middle and you could flank his army, it would destroy. But the great thing about top StarCraft players is within a few days of a patch coming out, they avoid those really brutal situations. For average Joes on the ladder, you're going to find those situations a bit more. Here we go. Big attack for Serral. He's going to go for it. Oh! Snipes coming in for the flank. Banelings do go over there. Remember, Ghosts do now have 125 hit points. They're pretty damn tanky, but they are light, so they do take bonus damage from the Banelings. Snipes, I think one of the Ultras went down. Looks like all the Infestors got EMP'd as well. Baneling Ultra turns around, but he doesn't want to go in snipe range for too long. Does barely break the snipes and pulls back. Now, interestingly, there's no Greater Spy. He hasn't gone Broods yet. The Broodlord shoots its first shot a lot faster now, guys. But he seems adamant of like, let's play Infestor, let's play Ultraling Bane Corruptor. And this is such a good mobile comp for if this Terran moves out and takes a base that he doesn't have a ton of units at, you just run in, blow it up, run away. And potentially, if the Terran spreads too thin across all fronts, then you can split your army and just swarm in from every side. How many snipes take out an Ultra? It used to be 3, and I think it's 4 now, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here we go. Ultraling Bane Corruptor rolling in. He's just going to shove through this choke point. Banelings busting through there. You can see those Ghosts cloaking and trying to run away. The Overseers don't follow. The Corruptors are trying to take advantage of this moment so that they can actually deal with the Libs. Missile turret comes up and makes it a bit more expensive. He does want that Lib, gets it, and then does pull away with the Corruptors. The Corruptors are what make these trades, I think, good enough for Serral. But the fact that he didn't blow up that command center may have him a little bit worried. That being said, his lava injects have been on point. He's got 9 hatcheries. He's insta-remaxing. I imagine the Terran bank's a bit smaller than his, and the Terran needs to keep trading like this, keep building turrets to defend the Corruptors, keep spreading out the bio, rebuilding the Widow Mines, and seeing what he can do. Because I think it's 170 damage for each snipe, guys. So if you do 3 snipes, I'm not good at numbers, 300 plus 210 is 510. So did they lower the... Oh, but they lowered the damage to like 130 now or something? I think, yeah, it used to be 170. So it used to just barely kill it with 3. Now it's 130 damage. But it still does 170 to psionic units. So that it still one-shots Vipers. So complicated, Starcraft. Doesn't quite one-shot Queens, though. Corruptors come in for a PP attack. Does take a few snipes there and has to quickly run away. Looks like a nuke harassment came in from that side. And he manages to catch it. Really good play here by Serral. Now, obviously, this is a good warm-up for Serral. You're playing someone about 1,000 MMR below you, maybe 1,200, and you're in control of the game. There we go, Microbial Shroud! He does it! He goes for the Shrouds here. Remember, the planetary splash damage is not affected by it, but the direct damage is. So I don't know how impactful that really is in that scenario. He does throw some fungal on those Ghosts. The Corruptors are ravaging the Vikings and the Libs. I don't think the Terran has enough. I think he's just broken him. 18 minutes here. You can see what Serral was trying to do with that kind of Microbial Shroud style. But I think what we're learning from this is kind of what Lambo had already summed up for many of us, right, on his streams, as well as talking to me privately, where he'd said the Terrans are you know, they're gonna, once they've turtled up, it is hard to get the value out of the Microbial Shroud, especially once the Ghosts and stuff come in. If the Terran's playing high momentum style, if they don't want to stop pushing, and they're out on the map with their whole army, and Microbial Shroud comes in at the right moment, especially with Ultras, but even just with Ling Bane, amazing, right? If they're maxed on Bio Lib, you're most close to max with Ling Bane and a couple of Infestors, getting a few Microbial Shrouds in a big pitched battle, especially if you sandwich them from 2 sides so they can't just stutter step out of it, is going to be so, so useful. But is the fear of it going to make Terrans even more turtly than ever before? It's the question we have. Obviously, this game doesn't tell us anything about that. It's just allowing us to muse, see some of these things in action, and of course, see Serral here just put on absolute clinic. Notice how he doesn't chase, he just runs in, he's looking for angles, and he's always looking for, if you chase it just a little bit, I'll land the fungal, and then I'll go and take out all those Ghosts. Oh, great Hellion timing. He was hoping that the Terran player wasn't watching and that he could surround it with the drones. But of course, the Terran player was watching, and now he does a quick transformation servos morph with the Hellbats, which might actually beat the Lings. No. 3/3 Adrenal Zerglings are pretty darn good. If Ultras are so bad, why does Serral keep getting them? Ultras are fantastic. Ultras have never been bad. Ultras are bad has basically been what Zerg players who don't know how to take engagements have said for many years. I've always rallied against that and said, nope, not true. Microbial Shroud goes down, he's gonna go for it, guys. The Banes. Oh, the Widow Mines! The Widow Mines got a few pretty good hits on those Banes! Dude, I don't know about that attack. Look at his face. That's the face of a man who just lost 60 Banelings to Widow Mines. He got a command center and like 1 Lib. But that was an expensive army. I think He's got enough bases, it probably doesn't matter.
Or something here for sure, but
I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit just so we can catch what he said. Let's hear that.
Is under attack. Mineral field depleted. Mineral
should have intruders or something here for sure, but
I think I should go Broodlords or something here for sure, he says. Yep. I think it's a good call. And the Broodlord is really good at interrupting those first ghost snipes and shooting a lot faster. We can turn it down just a little bit. I know it's otherwise it might get a bit loud. But there we go. We'll go back to this volume. Evolution complete. He's far enough ahead. I don't think this should matter too much. I think he could just keep hammering with Ultraling Bane. It's probably the fastest way to win. Yeah, Ultras are a very good unit. They're best when the game is very mobile, guys. Because they're A move, easy to use, tanky, do splash damage, and they're very fast. So when there's fighting over here, dart in, kill some stuff, run away, dart in from another side, run away. That's what Ultras are good for. Ultras are bad, like any melee unit, when they can't get surface area on the opponent. Notice how he kept his Infestors out of tank range after they took the first shot. Beautiful play by Serral. Corruptors come in. Oh, he's going to go wee-wee, and then it forces the command center to lift, and he gets it with the Corruptors, of course. They can use their regular attack once it lifts off very, very nicely. You heard Broodlords? I got, why did I not go Lurkers? No, he said I should have been going Broodlords, or I should go Broodlords. I definitely heard Broodlords. Definitely not Lurkers. Lurkers in this scenario makes no sense. Lurkers are trash against siege tanks, libs, and ghosts. All things which the Terran player has. Lurkers are a fantastic unit if you can get a Nidus in the back. If your opponent's Nidus defense isn't on point. This player's, Serral hasn't really been doing that style. Lurkers are also fantastic if you're ahead of tech. In the early late game, you get to Lurkers before the opponent has all this stuff, but once they've got all this, it is nasty. Speaking of nasty, Fungal Baneling says lol, 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 and the Terran player, I think, is very close to tapping out. Now, Serral is all over this guy. He's mauling him. I like that you can see he's thinking about when to go Microbial Shroud and the like, but as we can see, Fungal is still a fantastic spell for catching those ghosts rolling in. This would be a great spot for Microbial Shroud, actually. But I think he's just kind of waiting for the Broods and he's going to let them do the work. I'd love to see him just fight here with Microbial, but he's just not thinking about it. Same situation I've had many times. He's throwing Fungals. I know there was a few ghosts, but still, I mean, that would have been a pretty good spot with tanks and Hellbats there. That would have been really nice. All right, so the Broodlings still suck, guys, but the Broodlords fire those first shots much quicker, which means they start recharging their second shot. So the initial stage of a Broodlord fight used to be very painful for Zergs, where your Broodlords would go up and they'd be like, let's go. And they'd enter range, and then the Broodlings would have to fly in from behind them to the front and then detach and launch. And that roughly 2-second delay was really painful because it wasn't until the Broodlings moved to the front and then launched that they would start recharging the next shot. In that time,
a bit faster for sure.
Your opponent Psystormed you. Your opponent's landed snipes. He's landed all sorts of things. And that's exactly what's going on. Anyway, guys, great game there to warm up for Serral. And let's hear what his thoughts are at the end of this as the opponent does tap out.
Could have won that a bit faster for sure.
Very self-critical, always. Could have won that a bit faster for sure. That's it. I mean, I think he knows, hey, I was pretty far ahead, and I took longer than I needed to take this guy down. Even though Serral's known as the Sandpaper Zerg, I think he would have liked to finish that game a bit quicker. Either way, though, a good warm-up game, and it's interesting to see just the fact that, there's this amazing spell, but it hits quite late in the game, and is it just going to only work in a small percentage of games? Is it something Serral's going to make a key part of his arsenal and he's going to use all the time? Is it something where Terrans are just going to turtle more than ever and go up to this Ghost stage, especially now Ghosts are 2 supply. They have 125 hit points again, 125 hit points now, which makes them super tanky against everything that's not Banelings. They're like better against everything that's not Banelings now massively. It might be we actually see the turtliest meta in ZVT we've ever seen or seen in a long time. And that's the question that's arising, and I was already heading towards. That game made me think about it a little bit more. Obviously, it's far too early to draw any conclusions, and as we get more ZVT games, we'll check back in with Serral. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about Zerg vs. Terran. Do you guys like Microbial Shroud? Do you wish it was like maybe a lower damage percent reduction, 30% rather than 50%, but you could get it earlier in the game, only cost 75 energy, something like that? Or is this okay to have this kind of niche spell, kicks in like the late game, kind of maybe the end of the mid game if you go for it quicker. Doesn't have the biggest window where it does that much, but hey, it could be a crazy game-changing spell otherwise. Let me know if you enjoy this conservative kind of way of pushing a spell into StarCraft or not. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye and good night.